beginner. So we'll be doing a number of things, from creating a brand new account on OpenAI to logging and using ChatGPT to some of the more advanced ways to use it. If there's anything you want to know, this video should cover it all. Let's begin. I'm going to start on Google here and I'm going to browse to find OpenAI. You can also head over to openai.com if you want to skip this step. Here is the company that basically created ChatGPT. They've created a number of different types of APIs, and if you want to have a look at them all, you can head over to the API page. We're going to be looking at the ChatGPT version. If you want to head to that, you should be able to select the top nav bar here. This will take you to a page called chat.openai.com. If you don't already have a login with OpenAI, you can select to sign up and create a brand new one. For the sign up, it's quite easy. You can simply log in with an email address or with a Google or Microsoft account. While I already have an account, I'm going to create a brand new one so that you guys can see this process. I'm going to sign up with a new email address and go through the prompts to create an account this way. This will require the email address as well as a password and a two-step verification process, which we'll do. The first thing that'll happen is an email will be sent to the mailbox that you're signed up with. In this case, it'll be sent to my Gmail address. I'm going to head over to that inbox now, and we're going to select the verification for email address button. This will basically activate the account so we can log straight into the OpenAI systems. Now, the OpenAI dashboard isn't ChatGPT. It's a separate dashboard to start using some of their normal models here for their OpenAI systems. But to go back to ChatGPT, we need to select the link up here that takes us to chat.openai.com. Here, we'll need to log in one more time, and this should take us to the ChatGPT system. So again, I'm going to put in my email address as well as my password in here, and this will now finally take me to ChatGPT. As this is the very first time I'm using it, I need to fill out just a few more details. So here I'm going to fill out my name as well as my phone number, which will verify my account. This will send me that two-step verification. So I'll put in the code I received on my phone number. And finally, we're now in ChatGPT and its systems, and we can start to use it. The first thing to know is that ChatGPT is free, and it's mainly used right now for research purposes. There are a few prompts worth reading here when you get started. Things like their goal here is to get some external feedback in order to continue to improve the system, as well as making it safer. They also have a few safeguards in place because there are occasions where the generations are incorrect or even misleading. So be aware of that, because if offensive or biased content is produced, then you might not want to use the given advice. Let's have a look at what else is being used here. So we also have the collection of data. So the prompts and items that you are entered in are actually reviewed by their AI trainers in order to improve the systems. So this means just take notice of what kind of prompts you're putting in, and also don't share sensitive information that might be happening inside your conversations, which means that if you're putting in passwords, which really you shouldn't be, try not to post screenshots of that. There's also an importance of feedback here, because as you do discover and utilize the system more, giving feedback can help them improve the system. There is a Discord server that you can join where you can share your feedback, and this one over here is actually accessible. So I'm just gonna log into this OpenAI one, and it already has 500,000 members, which, wow, that is quite a few. You'll need to go through the prompts here, so visit the website, make sure that you read this, and then complete the little survey here, making sure that you're not going to be doing anything such as spamming or anything like that. So I've just applied here, and here we've got all our discussion threads and whatnot, so you can join as part of the community. Now, let's begin. This is ChatGPT. It actually has a couple of elements here on the page worth knowing. We've got the sidebar here, which essentially doesn't really do much. The main item here is the reset thread, which I'll get into shortly. Here we have a couple of example inputs that we can place, and the input is just over here. This is where you can type your text. We also have some details here about the capabilities and limitations. Let's take a look at all of this. So in terms of the capabilities, the ChatGPT system actually remembers what you said in previous conversations. Now, be aware that this is the conversation thread that you're currently having. If you strike up a brand new conversation thread, that won't be remembered, just the current one that you're in. It also allows you to do follow-ups and corrections. So for example, if you didn't get quite the answer that you're looking for, you can always ask for another one or really just re-prompt for a different option. The AI is also trained to decline providing negative or inappropriate requests. So if, for example, you're asking for something malicious, most times out of 10, it will not provide that. However, there are odd situations where it might accidentally do this. And let's go to the limitations this time to have a look at some of the problems that you might encounter when using ChatGPT. Firstly, some of the generations might actually be inaccurate. It is only trained until the last couple of years of information, so it's not able to, say, access the internet right now. It is in an offline state as of a year or two ago. It also doesn't do mathematics very well, so it might have some issues if you're doing things like 10 plus 9. It might not give you the correct answer. There's also some bias to the content that is produced based on what you've produced earlier in the conversation. And this could essentially mean that it occasionally produces some harmful instructions, and those have to just sort of be ignored. And finally, as I mentioned earlier, there is limited knowledge because the actual AI is trained for events just towards 2021. This means that it won't have up-to-date information of relevant and current facts that are happening in the world. With all of this said and done now, we can now actually start taking a look at using ChatGPT. The first thing to take note of is that using it is very simple. All we have to do is enter in a message or a query or a prompt of what we want the AI ChatGPT to do for us. And then we get an output. There are a few examples here with buttons basically asking us maybe explain what quantum computing is or how to make a HTTP request in JavaScript, but I'm going to minus these out and I'm going to use my own, which is what is 10 plus 9 as a question mark. This is a pretty simple prompt. Then we simply select enter or set the button here and press and click on it, and we start with our very first prompt. Now here we have two parts to this prompt. We've got what we've prompted, and then we've got the output here from OpenAI. Now this is pretty damn simple, but there are a few things to take note of here. The first thing is the question, what is 10 plus 9? Now we've got the output here that says 19, but we also have this option here to try again. So if I was to select that, what we end up getting is essentially the same answer, but just written in a different way. In this case, it's been written more mathematically, which is 10 plus 9 equals 19, but it's not just 19 like it was before. And we can continue to click on this, but if, for example, we've given as many results as we possibly can, then it might error out, like you just saw earlier, or it might continue to give us better answers. Like this is a half mathematical, half verbal one, where it says 10 plus 9 is 19. We can try again, and this time it says 10 plus 9 is 19, so it's almost repeating now. You'll get to a point where there's only so many ways it can be written. We have a number of other things to take note of. We've got these thumbs up and thumbs down icons, and this is to give OpenAI some feedback as to the prompts we have here. We also have these arrows here when you hover over to show the different types of outputs that you've gotten based on the input that you've provided. Now I've just done 5 of them, so I can toggle through them, and I like number 5 the most, so this one I can give a thumbs up. Now if, for example, it gave a poor answer, we could do the same by going back here. It says an error occurred, and I say no answer provided. So this, for example, is how you would provide feedback to the system if you needed to. Now this is our very first prompt in this conversation. We can continue to make more prompts, such as saying, how good is OpenAI's ChatGPT at maths? And ask this question. So this question is still part of this conversation. And we're getting an answer now being streamlined and generated from OpenAI's ChatGPT. It says, as a large language model trained by OpenAI, it doesn't really have the ability to perform mathematical calculations. Now here's where you might have to be careful. There are situations where the outputs might not actually generate the kind of consistent answers you might be looking for. Such in this example, I'm going to trick the AI, saying that it is actually 20. 10 plus 9 is